the youngest junior sister of an immortal sect, threw a tantrum and left the sect all by herself. But as soon as she went down the mountain, she was drugged by an elder of the Hehuan Sect and locked in a dungeon to be used for dual cultivation to absorb her yin energy. Song Tingyue was ordered to deliver food to the junior sister. The junior sister knelt on the ground, kowtowing frantically to her, begging her to take her protective jade pendant out of the sect and smash it, promising that once her senior brothers rescued her, she would take Song Tingyue away from this demonic den together. Song Tingyue could not bear to see a favored daughter of heaven humiliated and trampled upon, so she agreed to help her. But Song Tingyue never expected that the first thing the junior sister did after being saved was to demand her senior brothers slaughter the entire Hehuan Sect, leaving no one alive, including her, opening her eyes once more. Song Tingyue had actually returned to the very day she delivered food to Kui Rui. "Sister, please save me. I'm kowtowing to you. I beg you to take this protective jade pendant outside the Hehuan Sect and smash it. That way, my senior brothers will come to rescue me. I know you were also kidnapped and brought here. You must really want to leave this filthy demonic den too, right? As long as you do me this small favor, I swear I will repay you tenfold in the future." The helpless and sorrowful pleas rang in Song Tinyue's ears. She slowly looked down. In the dark and oppressive dungeon, a tear-stained girl knelt miserably on the ground, kowtowing to her repeatedly. This familiar scene was something she could never forget. Song Tingyue was originally the daughter of an ordinary family in a small mountain village. Her parents loved each other, farming and weaving, living a simple and happy life, until she was 10 years old. While her parents were weeding in the field, their necks were suddenly snapped by a silk ribbon out of nowhere, and then their bodies were burned to ashes by a fierce fire. At that time, Song Tingyue had just climbed a tree to pick fruit, narrowly escaping the disaster. Weeping, Song Tingyue used a pickle jar from home to collect her parents' ashes, burying them in the bamboo forest on the back mountain. Afterward, she resolutely left the small mountain village. Song Tingyue knew that if she wanted to find out who killed her parents and seek revenge, she had to learn the cultivation arts of the immortals. Unexpectedly, on her way to a major sect, she was kidnapped by Elder Han of the Hehuan Sect. "A little brat like you wants to learn cultivation. Now that you've fallen into my hands, obediently work as a servant." Because Song Tingyue was too young and was found to have no spiritual roots in her body, Elder Han simply threw her a servant's uniform and made her do chores like sweeping and chopping wood. She desperately wanted to escape from here. However, the Hehuan Sect was filled with formations everywhere. A fellow female servant nearby kindly warned her, "Don't even think about escaping. Those who tried to run were all tortured to death." After witnessing female cultivators who tried to escape being tortured to death multiple times, she had to temporarily put her escape plans on hold, until one day, Elder Han carried another female cultivator back. That female cultivator had a pure appearance and possessed a top-grade ice spiritual root. Although her cultivation level was not yet very high, her constitution made her excellent material for dual cultivation. The moment she woke up, she struggled and threatened Elder Han, "Audacious scoundrel, I am a disciple of the Hehuan Sect. My senior brothers will surely level your Hehuan Sect. So what if you're a disciple of the Hehuan Sect? I won't let go of a cultivation vessel delivered right to my door." Elder Han realized her background might not be simple, but he was unwilling to give up a high-grade cultivation vessel that was within his grasp. So, he went all the way and activated an isolation formation, preventing the female cultivator from having any chance to send a message outside. However, that female cultivator's temperament was far too fierce. She pulled out various magical treasures from her storage bag to attack Elder Han. Caught off guard for a moment, Elder Han actually suffered a significant setback. In his anger, he immediately sealed the female cultivator's spiritual energy and forced her to swallow a highly potent strength-sapping pill, preparing to engage in dual cultivation with her on the night of the full moon. In her past life, Song Tingyue had risked her life, relying on a route she had planned bit by bit over several years, and managed to escape outside the Hehuan Sect without further mishap. The first thing she did upon getting out was to smash the jade pendant, urgently calling for the disciples of the Hehuan Sect to come to the rescue. In just the blink of an eye, several highly powerful immortal sect disciples quickly flew in from the horizon. They forcibly broke through the defensive formations of the Hehuan Sect and rescued Kui Rui. Kui Rui's eyes were bloodshot, and she hysterically demanded her senior brothers slaughter everyone in the Hehuan Sect, leaving none alive. Suddenly, a glowing, colorful silk ribbon whipped out from Kui Rui's sleeve, tightly wrapping around Song Tingyue's neck. "What? Did you think I would be deeply grateful to you and repay you with endless gratitude? Heh, a mere mortal as lowly as an ant. Yet you dared to accept so many of my bows. Tell me, don't you deserve to die?" The air in her chest rapidly depleted. Unwilling to accept this, Song Tingyue reached out and tightly grabbed the hem of Kui Rui's robe. She had been so foolish. She had believed Kui Rui's words so easily. Not only did she doom herself, but she also helped the murderer of her own parents escape from misery. Seeing the intense resentment and unwillingness in Song Tingyue's eyes, Kui Rui's eyes curved with laughter. "Actually, if I hadn't slaughtered everyone in the Hehuan Sect, you probably would have spent your entire life beneath those little darlings. Strictly speaking, you ought to thank me." Seeing no response from Song Tingyue for a long time, a flash of venomous malice crossed the depths of Kui Rui's eyes. "Good sister, my master and senior brothers all cherish me deeply. As long as you save me, you will receive countless immortal herbs and spiritual medicines and heavenly treasures. I guarantee you will be reborn anew and live for 1,000 years." Reborn anew? Live for 1,000 years? In her previous life, the very first thing Kui Rui did after being rescued was to slaughter everyone, and Song Tingyue, her savior, was personally ended by Kui Rui's own hands. Even the silk ribbon weapon used to kill her was the same one that had killed her parents 6 years ago. Now, Song Tingyue hated Kui Rui to the bone. She wanted nothing more than to skin her alive and rip out her tendons to appease the spirits of her deceased parents in heaven. How could she possibly help Kui Rui deliver a message to escape again? However, Song Tingyue would not let Kui Rui die so easily either. After all, destroying her spirit would be far more satisfying. Under Kui Rui's expectant gaze, Song Tingyue feigned a look of panic and anxiety and spoke hesitantly, "I want to help you too. But there are so many people outside. I'm scared." "Don't be afraid. Rest assured. My senior brothers are all highly skilled in spiritual power. They are compassionate and will never let anything happen to you. All right, I'll help you. It is just that there are many arrays outside, and I don't have any spiritual power. I cannot absolutely guarantee that I can get the jade pendant out. If you wait and wait but no rescue comes, then I have probably already died. But don't worry. I will definitely do my absolute best." As expected, Kui Rui called out to Song Tingyue. Kui Rui looked hesitant, and finally, with great reluctance, from her left sleeve, she pulled out a flowing radiant ribbon. "This has a very strong defensive capability against magical attacks. Take it to protect yourself for now." When Elder Han sealed Kui Rui's spiritual power, he had already taken away her storage bag. This ribbon was Kui Rui's very last resort. Song Tingyue glanced at Kui Rui with a half smile and took the ribbon. "This is wonderful. With this, I will definitely make it out safely. Wait for me, miss. I'm going right now." "Good sister, you are truly kind-hearted. You must be careful on your way. Remember, the jade pendant must be shattered outside the gates of the Hehuan Sect." Song Tingyue gripped the jade pendant tightly in her hand. Under Kui Rui's tense and expectant gaze, she departed quickly. Then, she turned and headed straight for Elder Han's courtyard. She knocked on the door. At this hour, Elder Han was cultivating as he always did without fail. His withered face was covered in wrinkles, and he wore only a simple gray robe. Song Tingyue always felt he was an eccentric sort. He could easily use magic to make himself look young and handsome, yet he insists on keeping this decrepit elderly appearance to defile female cultivators. The door opened on its own. Elder Han lifted his eyelids and cast a cold glance at Song Tingyue. "Elder, that female cultivator just now said she is a disciple of the Hehuan Sect's leader. She also gave me a jade pendant and wanted me to smash it outside the sect gates. I didn't dare to." "What?" Song Tingyue anxiously held the jade pendant in her palms. Elder Han suddenly stood up with a wave of his hand. He summoned the jade pendant to his grasp. After seeing its design clearly, the muscles on his face twitched involuntarily. "The one I captured is actually Kui Rui. This Kui Rui must be someone very powerful, right? She said she has never suffered such a great humiliation. Once her senior brothers come to rescue her, to wash the Hehuan Sect in blood, especially you, Elder Han. She wants to skin you alive, rip out your tendons, crush your soul, and damn you to eternal torment." As Song Tingyue fanned the flames, she secretly observed Elder Han's expression. In just a few short breaths, his face shifted from shock to fear, and finally settled into a desperate, murderous rage. He carefully placed the jade pendant into a hidden compartment, and then fixed his gaze squarely on Song Tingyue. "What do you think I should do with that female cultivator?" She declared that she would slaughter everyone in the Hehuan Sect, so I believe we must cut her down at the roots as soon as possible. Ruthless and decisive. I usually see you as quite obedient, but I never realized you and I are actually of the same kind. Tingyue grew up in the Hehuan Sect and has long regarded it as my home, so I could never be so ungrateful as to help Kui Rui destroy the Hehuan Sect. You are indeed sensible. You may leave. I have my own plans for that woman. Although the safest course of action right now was to kill Kui Rui immediately and destroy all evidence of her soul. Kui Rui happened to be a top-tier dual cultivation vessel. As long as he dual cultivated with her a few times, his cultivation level would surely skyrocket. It would be a pity to just kill her like this. Song Tingyue could see Elder Han's hesitation, but she was ultimately just a mortal with no say in the matter, so she could only obediently leave. "Wait. Come. Accompany me to see that woman." She didn't understand why Elder Han had suddenly changed his mind, but she could only comply submissively. In the dungeon, Elder Han looked at Kui Rui, who was curled up in a ball, and grabbed her by the neck with one hand. Lifting her up with his other hand, he gently caressed Kui Rui's smooth cheek. So you are the famous little junior sister of the Hehuan Sect. Seeing Song Tingyue standing expressionlessly behind Elder Han, Kui Rui instantly understood what had happened. Her bloodshot eyes glared venomously at Song Tingyue, looking as if she wanted to tear her to pieces. You wretched mortal. You lovely sweet little mortal. How dare you betray me? Betray? What you say is truly laughable, miss. I belong to the Hehuan Sect. Why would I help an outsider harm my own home? Moreover, you are a liar full of falsehoods. In order to escape from here, you even shamelessly claim to be the disciple of the Hehuan Sect sect leader. I am not a liar. My master really is the sect leader of the Hehuan Sect. Oh, just because you say so. I'm warning you, you'd better let me go right now. Otherwise, once I get out, I will make my senior brothers demand justice and make you pay the price. I will make you experience what true regret feels like. Seeing Kui Rui, even while being choked by Elder Han, still have the courage to shout such words, Song Tingyue couldn't help but burst out laughing. Kui Rui suddenly snapped out of it, belatedly realizing what foolish words she had just spoken. Her face instantly turned pale. Elder, what I just said was all nonsense. Actually, as long as you let me go, I swear that once I return, I swear I will reward you handsomely and repay your kindness. If you were the disciple of any other sect leader, perhaps I would have some reservations and let you go. But since you are the disciple of the Hehuan Sect sect leader, then unfortunately, you are dead meat. Why? Who doesn't know that you are the darling of the Hehuan Sect? Their untouchable treasure? Your eldest senior sister merely injured you by accident during the sect tournament, and she was punished with a full 100 demonic whip lashes. Later, they even gouged out her ice spiritual root to give to you, reducing her to a complete cripple. If you can be so ruthless to your own senior sister, if I foolishly let you go, would I still have a life to live? No, it is not like that. It was little cutie. It was eldest senior sister who gave it to me voluntarily. Elder Han was too lazy to waste any more words with Kui Rui. Pinching her chin, he was about to force a crimson elixir down her throat. Kui Rui was no fool. She knew this elixir could be nothing good. She struggled violently to break free from his grip, crawling toward the corner using both her hands and feet. What are you trying to do? Get away from me. I won't take it. Don't worry. It is just a little something to spice things up. Kui Rui was already no match for Elder Han, and with her spiritual energy sealed, she could only watch helplessly as he stuffed the red elixir into her mouth. As soon as the medicine went down, Kui Rui collapsed limply to the ground, completely drained of strength. Her face flushed bright red, and her body curled up tightly. Without even turning his head, Elder Han ordered Song Tingyue to leave. No, don't leave. Save me. Yes. Tingyue shall take her leave. With that, a satisfied smile of relief curled on Song Tingyue's lips, and she turned and left without a single look back. In the dungeon, Kui Rui's miserable screams echoed continuously. To Song Tingyue's ears, however, this sound was like the most beautiful music in the world. For several days in a row, Elder Han stayed in the dungeon and never came out. Song Tingyue tactfully refrained from disturbing him, instead actively moving about the sect to gather news about the outside world from the casual chatter of the Hehuan Sect disciples. After all, Kui Rui's senior brothers were not to be trifled with. They could crush a mortal into mincemeat with a mere flick of their fingers. Therefore, Song Tingyue had to be prepared to flee at any moment. It didn't matter if that lecherous villain, Elder Han, died, but she had no desire to be dragged down with the Hehuan Sect for no reason. In the dining hall, Song Tingyue was diligently wiping down the tables, but her mind had long been drawn to the gossip of two people in the corner. Speaking of which, those people from the Hehuan Sect must be senile. They cast aside a perfect pearl, and instead, cherish a worthless fish eye as a treasure. The man opposite him was stuffing his face with food and asked indistinctly, "What do you mean? Do you know Shen Qingshuang, the eldest disciple of the Hehuan Sect's leader? What a dazzling and proud beauty she was back then. Now, she has been tortured to the point where her meridians are severed, and she is blind, completely reduced to a useless person, whom anyone can bully. Those junior brothers of hers, whom she painstakingly raised, hung Shen Qingshuang over the abyss of boundlessness for 2 days and 2 nights, just to vent anger on behalf of their little junior sister, who ran away from the sect. They said they would only let her down When their little junior sister cools off and returns, no way, the abyss of boundlessness is filled with malevolent energy. Last time, I only stayed nearby for a short while and felt terribly ill, let alone hanging someone over it for 2 days and 2 nights. As the two continued their discussion, Song Tingyue's heart began to pound wildly. If she guessed correctly, the Shen Qingshuang they spoke of must be the eldest senior sister, whose ice spiritual root had been gouged out by Kui Rui. For some reason, a strong urge suddenly surged in her heart. She wanted to save her. However, she was just a mortal and did not know if she could withstand the malevolent energy they mentioned. Thus, Song Tingyue began delivering food to the dungeon. On her first visit, she saw Kui Rui lying on the stone bed, covered only by a thin veil. She looked as though she had aged more than 10 years, and her eyes appeared dull and lifeless. Elder Han sat cross-legged nearby, meditating, his expression filled with satisfaction and excitement. Seeing Song Tingyue enter uninvited, his brow furrowed deeply. Who permitted you to enter? Get out. I came to deliver food to her, fearing she might starve to death. No need. Get lost. Song Tingyue retreated submissively. The second time, she brought a bucket of water, saying she wanted to clean Kui Rui. Elder Han, who was in the middle of his pleasure, sent her flying with a blast of dark light. Immediately after, he set up a defensive barrier at the entrance of the dungeon. After a long while, Song Tingyue finally struggled up from the ground and ran quickly back to her small bamboo hut. Untying her outer robe, she revealed the silk ribbon wrapped around her body. To her surprise, she was completely unharmed by Elder Han's strike. This truly was an exceptional magical treasure. An idea formed in her mind. That night, taking advantage of a lapse in the patrolling disciples' vigilance, she escaped from the sect along the route from her past life. She had already witnessed Kui Rui's miserable end with her own eyes. Besides, Elder Han would certainly never allow her to live anyway. Right now, Kui Rui's senior brothers would only think their junior sister was throwing a tantrum and deliberately hiding from them, but in a few days, they would definitely realize something was wrong. 3 days later, Song Tingyue disguised herself as an inconspicuous little beggar. By gathering gossip along the way, she successfully made her way to the boundless abyss. On the eerie and terrifying cliff, there was only a single thin and lonely figure. She was suspended from a branch by a hemp rope, her green robe long since drenched in blood. On her wrists and ankles, there was a gruesome wound on each. Fortunately, she had been doing hard labor in the Hehuan Sect these past few years, which had built up her physical strength. She managed to rescue Shen Qingshuang without any major mishaps. However, before Song Tingyue could even heave a sigh of relief, a sudden furious shout came from behind her. How insolent! Who allowed you to take her down? Song Tingyue's heart shuddered. She quickly turned around to look. She saw a handsome young man, glaring at her with a dark, sullen expression. Without a word, he thrust his long sword straight toward her. Feeling the overwhelming, suffocating killing intent, Song Tingyue's face instantly turned deathly pale. At the very moment she thought she was going to die, Shen Qingshuang, who had woken up at some point in her arms, tightly clasped Song Tingyue's waist and leaped off the cliff with her. Their bodies plummeted rapidly into pitch darkness. At this moment, Song Tingyue was filled with immense regret. Before losing consciousness, she faintly heard an extremely weak voice by her ear telling her not to be afraid, followed by a heart-wrenching scream from the top of the cliff. When she opened her eyes again, Song Tingyue found herself inside a cave. A campfire crackled beside her, but Shen Qingshuang was nowhere to be seen. Song Tingyue cautiously walked toward the entrance of the cave. The landscape outside was desolate and ruined. As far as the eye could see, everything was shrouded in a dark crimson hue. The sound of agonizing screams and wails carried by the wind was constant. Not far away, at the center of a tempest, Shen Qingshuang sat cross-legged. A visible dark crimson glow was frantically surging into her body. It was a long time before Shen Qingshuang returned to the cave. Her wounds had already fully healed. I am sorry. It was I who brought ruin upon your family. What do you mean? Back then, Kui Rui, who is my junior sister, poisoned me with spirit-dispersing powder. She stripped me of my spiritual energy and threw me into a beggar's den. If your parents hadn't happened to pass by and rescue me, I'm afraid but I didn't die. Because of that, Kui Rui held a grudge against your parents. When I was severely injured and imprisoned in the Forbidden Grounds, she came to gloat to me about how she had murdered my saviors, and how she had burned them to ashes. How did you know they were my parents? Shen Qingshuang pointed to the red jade hanging around Song Tingyue's neck. Because of this, I gave this to your parents. It can block a full-force strike from a nascent soul cultivator. I thought I could protect them. It was my own uselessness. Song Tingyue's heart jolted violently. She faintly recalled a night from her childhood when she was fast asleep, and her mother had placed a warm jade pendant around her neck, muttering prayers for her to live a long life and to be kept safe from evil spirits. So it turned out that even back then, her family's fate had already been sealed. Fortunately, I managed to protect you this time. Otherwise, in the afterlife, I wouldn't have known how to face your parents. Onsen, I am strong enough. We will go out and seek our revenge. Song Tingyue knew that her parents' deaths were not Shen Qingshuang's fault. Her parents were kind-hearted people. No matter who it had been at the time, they would have lent a helping hand. The blame lay solely on that madwoman, Kui Rui. Just because her wicked scheme had failed, she actually slaughtered defenseless mortals. What kind of righteous immortal sect behaves like this? For the entire year that followed, aside from occasionally bringing back some fruit and wild game for Tingyue, Shen Qingshuang spent the rest of her time restlessly absorbing the malevolent energy. Tingyue didn't know how she cultivated without her spiritual root, but she could feel the increasingly powerful aura emanating from Shen Qingshuang, which was full of evil and tyranny. At many moments, she even saw Shen Qingshuang as a vengeful ghost returned from hell, but she was never afraid. She was just inexplicably certain that Shen Qingshuang would never hurt her. Time flew by, and when they came out again, Tingyue only felt a sense of daze. The Hehuan Sect had now completely turned into ruins. It seemed the people of the Hehuan Sect had finally found Kui Rui's location. Presumably, Elder Han had also died long ago with not even ashes remaining. She just wondered how Kui Rui was doing now. Are we going to the Hehuan Sect? Of course we are. Didn't you say so, Tingyue? An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. One cannot live a cowardly life. Only that will inevitably be a hard battle. With your mortal body, you won't be able to bear it. So wait for me here, all right? Tingyue nodded obediently and agreed. She was quite self-aware. A mortal with zero combat power like her would only cause trouble for Shen Qingshuang if she went there. Tingyue returned to the small bamboo house where she used to live. Perhaps because of its remote location, it was not too badly damaged. It was perfectly fine to stay there for a few days. After spending half a day cleaning it up, she sat by the window, looking in the direction of the Hehuan Sect, silently praying in her heart for Shen Qingshuang to win. Tingyue waited for 3 whole days before she saw a looming figure walking toward her through the white mist ahead. As the figure drew closer, she realized the newcomer was Shen Qingshuang. Sister Qingshuang, did you win? I shattered the second martial brother's golden core, gouged out the third martial brother's supreme spiritual root, and severed all the meridians of the fourth martial brother. And I struck the sect master with 1,000 demonic lashes and blinded both his eyes. Tingyue, do you think my methods are cruel? But I didn't kill them. I merely used the way of cultivators to pay them back in their own coin. No, Sister Qingshuang, you are simply too cool and amazing. I admire you so much. To Tingyue, this approach was absolutely brilliant. Killing them would only give them release, whereas crippling them was the best revenge. The huge drop in strength and status would make them suffer in agony day and night, yet they would be completely powerless. For those who were once the proud chosen ones, this was undoubtedly the most fatal blow. Thank you, Tingyue. By the way, I also brought someone back for you. With that, Shen Qingshuang waved her hand. Instantly, a barely human woman rolled onto the ground with a thud. Tingyue looked closely and saw that the person was indeed Kui Rui. At this moment, Kui Rui was in tattered clothes, struggling on the ground with disheveled hair. She looked much older, having long lost the high and mighty, lively and charming look she had when they first met. She indeed hadn't died, but seeing her miserable state now, it seemed her life after being rescued hadn't been easy either. Upon realizing that the person in front of her was Tingyue, a burst of intense hatred suddenly erupted in Kui Rui's eyes. You little brat. It is all your fault. Tingyue narrowed her eyes in displeasure, and then kicked Kui Rui hard in the chest. Kui Rui's face instantly turned pale, and she couldn't even make a sound of pain as she collapsed weakly onto the ground. Let me think. Should I throw you into a beggar's den? Or send you to the afterlife? Tingyue took out the glowing silk ribbon from her sleeve and waved it slowly in front of Kui Rui's eyes. It was this very thing that had killed her parents and had also killed her past self. No, spare me. I know I was wrong. I have no grudge against you. Please spare my life. Kui Rui's eyes were filled with terror. She quickly changed her tune and began begging for mercy. Ignoring the pain racking her body, she knelt on the ground and began kowtowing frantically, her forehead slamming against the floor. In a way, Tingyue actually admired her a little. Her will to survive was incredibly strong, even though she was now a useless person, and the senior brothers who used to dote on her were either crippled or ruined, and she knew deep down that she wouldn't be spared. She still begged humbly for that microscopic sliver of a chance to live. Under Kui Rui's terrified gaze, Tingyue picked up the ribbon Kui Rui had cherished most. Loop by loop, she slowly wrapped it around Kui Rui's neck. Then, Tingyue put her strength into her hands and pulled the ribbon tight with a vengeance. She felt Kui Rui's struggles grow weaker and weaker until she stopped moving entirely. The suffocating resentment that had been trapped in Tingyue's chest for years suddenly vanished into thin air. Father, mother, I have avenged you. Your spirits in heaven can finally rest in peace." With everything resolved, Shen Qingshuang took Song Tingyue by the hand, and they left the small bamboo cottage together. On the way, Shen Qingshuang suddenly stopped in her tracks. She looked at Song Tingyue with a solemn expression. "Tingyue, do you want to become a cultivator?" Song Tingyue fell silent. No one didn't long to possess powerful cultivations and the ability to fly and traverse the heavens, but unfortunately she was just an ordinary mortal woman, as average as could be. She had never had the opportunity to cultivate. Shen Qingshuang suddenly pulled an exquisite box from her robes and gently opened it. The object inside the box was emitting wisps of cold air, surrounded by a pure icy spiritual energy. "Look, what is this? Is this your supreme ice spiritual root? I dug it out of Kui Rui's body. This belonged to me in the first place. It was only stolen by her. However, my body has long been completely altered by malevolent energy, and I can no longer practice ice attribute spells. I want to transplant it into your body." Song Tingyue was completely stunned. She could hardly believe her ears. Did this mean she could also cultivate in the future? That she could fly on a sword and roam freely between heaven and earth? Her little heart began to thump wildly again. "Tingyue, I don't want to watch you slowly grow old and die before my eyes in a few decades. Stay by my side forever, all right? But once you become a cultivator, you will have to face tedious day-in, day-out cultivation, experience perilous battles, and leave behind this peaceful, quiet life. I don't want to force you. I'm not afraid, Sister Qingshuang. I'm not afraid at all. From now on, we sisters will always be together. We'll travel across the entire cultivation continent, taste all the delicacies in the world, and never be apart again. This time, we must both live well, and live the lives we truly want."